Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. I hope you are doing well. Today we will study principles of selection. So there are some terms which needs to be defined. Genetics, you already have heard about it. It is a branch of biology concerned with the study of heredity and variation. Heredity is virasat, the characters which are transferred from parents to offsprings, and variation is the difference between performance in one animal and the other animal. So we do business on variation and heredity in genetics. So what is selection? Selection is a process in which certain animals are allowed to survive and or reproduce or have progeny or have kids. So we allow certain animals to survive and to reproduce. And culling is a process in which certain animals are not allowed to survive and or reproduce or have progeny or have kids. So we don't permit them to survive and or we don't permit them to reproduce. In certain cases, we don't use the bull for breeding. Though it survives, it can be used for other works, but we do not allow that bull to survive. This is also culling. So selection is two types. One is natural selection, a process in which individual animals that possess favorable traits are more likely to survive and reproduce. So in natural selection, there is no human intervention, there is no human interference, and it is purely done by God, or it is purely done by Allah Jalla Shanhu. So no person or no manipulation is involved in this. So according to Charles Darwin, it is natural selection is the chief process by which evolutionary changes occur. So evolution is a chief function of natural selection. So we do not have any control on it. It is already going on, it has been going on, it will keep going. So types of selection is second is artificial selection. It is described as selective breeding of animals to produce domesticated animals with more desirable traits. So we do selective breeding to produce best animals, better animals than the current generation. So of course human intervention is involved. It is purely by man, selection by human, and natural selection is still there and may affect positively or negatively the survival of animals selected through artificial selection. So we have done artificial selection, and the outcome of artificial selection will still be subject to natural selection. If nature will select it, it will go on. If nature will reject it, it will be rejected. This is a kind of philosophy. You need to ponder upon that, but as you know, devil is in detail, so we will not go in that much detail. So there are selection tools or methods which need to be performed to conduct selection in animals. We usually do study three methods: tandem selection, independent culling level, and selection index. Tandem selection. We select one trait at a time. We achieve a maximum target in performance. For example, we need to increase milk production from 10 to 20 liters. So we keep on increasing milk, selecting animals for more milk, and we achieve the target of 20 liters. And we do not care for any other trait associated with it. So it is more focused because we are targeting one at a time. And if there is a correlation of one trait with another trait, then the other trait will also improve, if in case of a positive correlation. For example, milk yield has a positive correlation with protein yield. So when we will increase milk production, we will also increase protein yield. Disadvantages is it takes a lot of time and effort, because we improve one trait first, then another trait, then another trait. A lot of generation interval is involved. So therefore Therefore, it is called the least efficient method. Next one is independent culling level. Here we select 2 or more traits at a time, but we set a minimum standard. For example, for a cow, we set that a cow must give 10 kg and a cow must get conceived with 2 services. So if a cow does not qualify, even if a cow is giving 50 kilograms per day, but it is taking more services than 2, then we will reject that cow. So this is independent culling level. We set a minimum criteria and we care for 2 or more traits. So it is disadvantages. It is very strict. If animal did not meet 1 trait, it would be rejected despite of being best or outstanding in other traits. For example, a guy is very good, very intelligent, but he's not getting the CGPA required, so he would be culled. So that is why independent culling level is bad, because it does not take care of overall performance of animal. So to overcome all previous 2 methods, we have selection index in place. It is a method in which several useful traits are selected simultaneously. Simultaneously means at one time, at the same time. So each trait that is going to be selected is assigned a weight, keeping in view the importance of trait. For example, take the example of height and weight. If we want to increase height and we also want to increase weight, so we will give 50% weight to height, 50% weight to 50% weightage to weight, and then we will select the animal on the basis of index. So for each animal, the score is multiplied with the weight and added for all traits to get a final score. Animals with higher final score are selected for breeding. So there is a simple equation for selection index. SI is the selection index, total selection index score for each animal. W1 is the weight for 1 trait. As I said, it could be 50 out of 100, 20 out of 100 for 1 trait, 20 for other, and 40 for others. It should add to 100. And X1 is score or performance for the trait. So it could be milk production, it could be body weight, it could be height. So we will multiply the performance of animal with the weight of that trait, and then we get a cumulative score. This is called selection index. A very interesting example is groom index or bride index. For example, if we want to select a groom, जिसे हम दुल्हा कहते हैं, so we can select a number of traits. For example, I would propose moral character 50%, 30%, 40% education, and 10% wealth. And for bride index, for example, to select a nice spouse, so you can say that out of 100 we will give weightage to 50% to moral character, and 40% to beauty, and 10% to financial status or wealth. So we can develop an index. You can idealize an index and give weights to each trait, and then take a cumulative score. So now you have 3 or 4 candidates for groom or 3 or 4 candidates for bride. So you can make an index and select among those which one is best. So to sum up this lecture, independent culling level is better than tandem selection, as it selects for more than 1 trait at a time. Similarly, selection index is more efficient. It is best of all 3 methods, because even if animal is deficient in 1 trait but exceeds in others, it would still be selected in breeding based on overall score. So selection index does not discriminate between traits. It only discriminates between weights. So right now selection index is being used for selection and large scale, and it's working, and we are getting beautiful results. For example, it is working in case of plants, it is working in case of animals. We have increased a lot of a number of eggs from less than 100 to more than 100, and we have get milk production. We have achieved milk production target of 5 liters per day to 50 liters per day, and similarly we can increase the size of chilies, and there are so many examples. So selection is a powerful force with which we can manipulate, and we can use this technology for human benefit. This is all about today's lecture. If you have any question, you can get back to me through usual routes. Thank you very much for your attention.